Howdy folks, we're live. Oh, I've got comments already. Why don't I have comments? Do you guys like get a notification when I start prepping the stream? Have I been accidentally streaming this whole time? Hi Alan. Uh well I had some content planned, but then we caught RadicalX and Triggz playing, so of course we had to drop what we're doing and see what's going on. RadicalX is playing Fire Nature and Triggz is playing Pure Nature. This is a map on Uro, and RadicalX is trying a kind of troll strategy with Healing Well. So we're seeing how this goes. We see Trigg's use of the Envenom to kill the Skyfire Drake, and the Skyfire Drake lives. Wow. Very well calculated from RadicalX. Triggz has a lot of tier 1 units. Radical not sniping out this Dryad. Perhaps he feels it doesn't matter. And the Healing Well comes up. No, Essen, well, let me check. You timestamped one of my videos, I think, and it was not that good because you just wrote PvP. You didn't split it down into each individual game. Oh, YouTube doesn't count it? Okay, well maybe you got something weird in your formatting. I'll check your formatting, but you don't put each game. You're kind of lazy, so you should put each game instead of just here's the 2 hours where we did 1v1. But alright, I'll check the formatting. We'll see if we get it into the auto segmentation. But back to this game, we've got Radical going for some kind of camp with Healing Well for Firestalker. Does this have like rapid construction or something? It doesn't. So I'm still not convinced that Healing Well is somehow so good. RadicalX loses the Twilight Archers, he loses the Scavenger. The Firestalker is in range of the Healing Well, but not taking damage. Deep One could grab the Stalker. Okay. SN means that the minutes and seconds are counted, and the other way they're timestamped can't work. Okay. Okay. So YouTube votes that Essence timestamps are better. Alright, Radical is now able to hit the well with his Firestalkers. Firestalkers are a little bit out of range of the Healing Well, I guess. The Stalker is grabbed, and I think it dies. Okay, I see the Healing Well being very valuable for Drakes now. So yeah, see, to me, it feels more like this is weird than it's actually good. But we'll see. It's hard to judge when Radical plays something that's actually good, or if it's just Radical being Radical and out-microing everyone. Alan has requested an Ami deck. Ooh, that was a Twilight Bug. So Radical is just trying to counter Triggz with everything he's got. Oink to stop that. Parasite on this Drake. With Ravage and making its way to the Healing Well. It doesn't make it. This Firestalker is also dying. So overall, Radical still got the tempo advantage. And yes, Alan, depending how the night holds, we can do some games with Shadow Nature. Or you could watch the last stream, which had Yabro in it. Might have been 2 streams ago. Yabro is playing some nice Shadow Nature. You can also watch the Iron Man that I did against Triggz. Actually, I guess that's still in progress. Triggz said he's not going to watch it, but we've done what? We're in the middle of a Fire Frost versus Ami, which is not a matchup you ever see. Yeah, no, I'm still giving you the timestamp. I'm just, in the future, if you would put each game, I think that's just more helpful. But yeah, I'm still giving you the reward. I wasn't going to say anything, but, you're commenting here, so I figure now's a good time to say something. There is a big difference between 2-hour stream and a 6-hour stream. This is true. But it's more work for me also to do a 6-hour stream versus a 2-hour stream. Radical just spamming the Twilight bugs. But if Triggz can save them, these are unbound, so they're not useless for sure. They're basically unbound burrowers. And they give Triggz the MM counter that he's been desperately wanting as a pure nature player. Unfortunately, they're just dying, so it's not doing a whole ton. RadicalX transforming to Slaver, because of course. Radical is running 2 large counters in his deck and Twilight Curse, which is pretty overkill for nature. He's also running the Healing Well, which I can't tell is like a troll compensated with overkill or it's supporting the overkill. My gut is that it's a troll compensating the overkill because I feel like Raddy should have won already if he's going pure overkill. This is generally considered, actually not even generally, I think this is just hands down the worst matchup for pure nature is against Twilight. Raddy stops that switch. These guys are dying. Radical not attacking this Parasite Swarm. Not sure if he was waiting for a heal or something. Maybe he was waiting to make sure he had Power for Eruption. And still hitting out these Twilight bugs. By the way, okay, interesting. The Healing Well also allows Dazed Skyfire Drakes against nature. Triggz going for a spam. And again, I think it's important to note, especially for some newer players, Radical has not taken a +1. He's been in a kind of commanding position. Oh, he kills it. Oh, there's the Termite Hill. So, yeah. I gotta see what Reddy's missing from his deck. He must be missing a bunch of stuff. He's definitely got no tier 3. But even for not having tier 3, maybe no Disenchant, because yeah, I guess you don't really need Disenchant if you're going against pure nature. All you'd be disenchanting is like a CC. Could be useful in tier 3, but if you're not playing tier 3. There's Termite Hill. And I think Radical wins here. But again, I want to note, I think a lot of people have the perception that once you have an advantage, you should just well up and try to convert that advantage by welling up. That's not always the best way to play this. As you see, Raddy didn't take any wells the whole game. He just tried to turn his advantage into a trading advantage and go and go and go. Triggz blame his loss on his lack of patience, which is probably fair. And there's the GG from Triggz. Alright, so Radical pick a map. And then I gotta see what he's missing. Okay, he's also running Mortar Tower. Okay, so he's got no Sunderer because, of course, you don't need it against nature. He's got no Burrower. I feel like Burrower would be useful. Maybe not. So he's got roughly Firestalker in terms of Burrower, He's got Mortar Tower instead of Sunder. Then he's got Healing Well, Termite Hill, and Twilight Curse instead of Disenchant in Tier 3. I guess Twilight Curse is kind of a disenchant. But yeah, he's got no Vile Blood, no... yeah, this is just like so specifically a counter for Pure Nature that... yeah. This is just so specifically a counter for Pure Nature. I can't imagine this holding up against other decks. I mean, Ratty can make anything work, right? All he has to do is win Tier 1 with 3 cards, which if push came to shove, he could probably do. Alright, we're going to watch SunWu versus Ratty now. All right. SunWu with Frost versus Nature from RadicalX. SunWu taking the power well. Ratty possibly trying a Swift Claw spam. And there's SunWu with an Ice Barrier, so he's got a little bit of ground presence he doesn't want to lose. Ratty counters with a bunch of units. More... Ooh, that was a very nice glyph, hitting everything. The question is, will Ratty be able to out-heal this? And I'm kind of suspecting he will be. Nice use of the Ice Guardian to reposition. So if he uses Frostbite, it's tough. Okay, Ratty is getting out. Ooh, nice body block with the... I still don't know if he's getting it. Looks like he's not getting it. However, the Ice Guardians have entered melee range. But so far the trade is positive for Ratty because he has not lost any power. All of his spells are in units. And it's... SunWu spent an Ice Guardian charge. He spent a glyph. He spent 2 glyphs now. And it looks like Ratty is simply out-microing him. There's a Hurricane. That is power lost for Radical. Power that went to the Void. But I think it's the first power that Ratty is sent to the Void. Meanwhile, he is cleaning up the units, and SunWu calls the GG. Why do people use Scavenger? Is Nomad not better? Okay, you know, that's a good topic for a short. I ought to make a short about that. There's several very important reasons why Scavenger is so much better than Nomad in PvP. One of those is that in every trading pattern, you are playing your archers plus a melee or swift unit, usually something along these lines. Frost is a little different because it doesn't have a swift unit, but you're generally playing archers and swift units. So Sunstriders are a medium counter, which means that you would like your melee unit to be a small counter. So you don't have a small archer counter. If you did, then you might just play both archers, right? Like if you had Master Archer and Sunstrider, you'd probably play both. But you don't, you only have Master Archers, so you want to compensate with either Scavenger or Thugs. So you need one of these cards, Scavenger, Swift, so you pick the Scavenger, and maybe you also add Thugs, but there are ways to make Nomad work, potentially. You would have to do Thugs for sure if you played Nomads, and it would just be a worse deck than Scavenger. So that's one. Second part is that Scavenger is cheaper than Nomad. So it's 70 versus 75, or 60 versus 75, which means that if you want to get going, take something a low power well. If you want to contest map presence, because you just want to have a unit somewhere where you can gain map control, Scavenger's just better because it costs less power. Another thing is that Scavenger has Crippling Bite, which is very essential for making trades. For example, if I had a squad of, let's say, one Nomad versus one, let's even say one Sunstrider, right? So, in theory, the Nomad costs 75, so the Nomad should win this. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Nomads, you don't like that, so you run away, and then it just is going to have a hard time catching it. Nomad Swift, so it can catch it, but if you were following up with another squad of archers, for example, you wouldn't be able to catch it. So Crippling Bite on Scavenger is huge. Scavenger costing less is huge. Scavenger having a cheaper unit is huge. Scavenger also just has simply better stats, because a lot of Nomad's power is in playing 3. You play 3 and you get this buff. But the problem is that 3 makes you very vulnerable to area of effect. So if you've got 3 in one spot, they can all get rooted, they can all get double erupted, they can all get nasty surprised. So for all these reasons, Nomad is, I think it's just a perfect example of a card that is very good for PvE and pretty bad to useless in PvE. And then Scavenger is a very good card for PvP and pretty bad to useless in PvE. Now there are niche situations where you might use a Nomad in PvP or a Scavenger in PvE, but in general, Scavenger is like an S tier PvP unit. Nomad is an S tier PvE unit. Yaxmut says that Force Elder Poison is only working on one unit at a time. Not sure if this is known. And Alan seems that would have explained it, so good. Hopefully that was a good explanation. And I think I've been looking for ways to increase my subscriber base, reaching new people. I feel like shorts is probably a way to get some of you players that are not as dedicated. Maybe someone who logs in once a week and isn't going to watch a YouTube video, but maybe they might watch a short. So thank you for that idea. I think that's a good idea to use for a short. Meanwhile, we've got RadicalX microing against Triggz. I haven't been super paying attention to where this is going, but right now it kind of looks like Triggz is winning. Yeah, it looks like Triggz is winning this. Wow. Essen says I'm in a good mood. Why is that? I mean, I'm watching Ratty and Triggz play, so why wouldn't I be in a good mood? But besides that, why do you think I'm in a good mood? Okay, Ratty has run back to his orb, hopefully using the ability to spawn Undazed, plus the orb shot to be able to help his defense against the tempo. We're going to see what Triggz does. Looks like Triggz is going to continue to go for unit trades. Oh, that just barely lives. And I feel like that one little hit is going to be enough that Triggz just wipes out the whole army. Probably Triggz' advantage in the first place came from that. And now Radical's whole army is depleted, and Triggz is winning this. There you go. This might be the first time we have ever seen RadicalX lose live. Essen says, I'm talking with an excitement and sound better. Well, thank you. Looks like Ratty wants the rematch. Alright, Righty wants the rematch. Let's pay attention more and see if we can comment on any micro decisions that one player uses to best the other. Seems to all be coming down to micro. Scavenger or Swiftclaw trades evenly on both sides. Radical's units are coming in a little bit faster. Ratty with an extra shaman a little bit early. Triggz saves the shaman. Radical immediately switches targets to the other shaman. Healing up. This might force a Surge of Light from Triggz. Oh, just barely it holds on. Is Radical saving his shaman? He does. The spearmen are still going after Trigg's units. He wants to fight them and force them to use a Surge of Light, I think. That would be one way to make a good trade. Looks like the damage is being spread out a little bit. Not sure if that was a misclick focus fire, but he gets a shaman down. And I think RadicalX is going to be the one that snowballs this now. Ooh, Radical loses a shaman. They're a lot more even now, but Triggz, I think, is losing this shaman. So that was a huge mistake from Triggz. And that's letting Radical go for cleanup. I haven't seen a root from either player yet, although I kind of would have expected it. Radical coming back to heal up, playing Dryad for more damage reduction, and it looks like we're going to see a reverse of what happened last game. Although I think Triggz is in a slightly better position. It's interesting how Radical is just sleeping the Spearmen and otherwise leaving them alone. Spearmen have a lot of health, so they are quite difficult to kill. He's kiting them around, keeping his own shaman healed up. Probably ready for another sleep with the Dryad again. Just beautiful micro clicking things. Okay, okay, and Triggz quits again. Essen comments he remembers the best nature player in the old days as Deca, and he sees how much worse he is than current nature pros. I think that's probably fair. I will say that I didn't play too much against Deca. Basically, what I would do is I would just dodge tier 1 by going Mortar. And I think that the meta is in a different place, that being good at nature tier 1 right now rewards you. And there's people to practice against. Whereas I think Deca probably didn't have that much to practice against because anyone who saw him would just run Mortar Tower or Phase Tower to dodge the tier 1. So from that perspective, I think that Deca didn't really have an opportunity to practice and get good. Oh, Bird has a Pure Frost replay against his Pure Nature from 2012-2013, but he hasn't been able to watch it. There is a way to watch it. I mean, that would be fun. It'll be annoying for me to make my setup work with that, but I think we could do it if there's interest. Yeah, so that'd be kind of my 2 cents, is that it was a different time, and there was really no reason to have a extended nature tier 1 in the EA days, because 99% of the time, someone would just dodge you by going Mortar Tower or Instant tier 2, and nature really didn't have the tools to deal with that. Both players waiting. Maybe SunWu is trying his hand at nature? I don't think so. I think SunWu is going for Shadow. Maybe he wants to wait for the Void to get a little bit higher so he can instant tier 2 and get out of fighting the RadicalX at pure nature. There's a Shadow from SunWu. Werebeast from RadicalX. That is a counter pick. I'll also say that the old Stonekin versus Pure Nature matchup used to be pretty weird. I don't know if this was technically accurate, but according to the Stonekin and Pure Nature players at the time, what would happen is that one side would spam Burrowers. Well, Stonekin would spam Burrowers against Pure Nature. Pure Nature would spam Parasite or Energy Parasite against Stonekin, or against Stonekin, and neither one had a counter to that. And so it was kind of just a big mess of kind of base trades as one side went instant tier 2 and something snowballed from there. That's at least what I had heard about the state of the balance in the 8 days. Now I don't know if that was technically correct, that the best move from both players was to go instant tier 2. But that's at least what both players believed. And so they told me they had some gentleman's agreement that they wouldn't instant tier 2 and spam these cards, because otherwise the matchup was just not that fun. Okay, SunWu is playing some footsies. He's got a second Dread in the fight, pulling back with this Dread. End of the day, nothing really happened, although it's possible SunWu gets the pick here. I think it's more likely that he gets rooted. And yeah, the stomp is not quite killing them. RadicalX getting an early energy parasite out, trying to body block with the Werebeast, but the Dread Charger doesn't get out. So end trade. Okay, Werebeasts or the Windweavers did die, so it was at the end of the day a trade of Dread Charger for Windweavers, which is a good trade for SunWu, to be fair. This is also a bad matchup for SunWu. Not the worst, but if Souls has a bad matchup, Pure Nature is probably in the top 3 bad matchups. I would guess that Pure Fire is the worst matchup for Souls, and it's probably like Pure Fire, Stonekin, and Pure Nature are probably the 3 worst matchup for Souls. Maybe Ami, actually. Ami is a little bit weird, and that it's not like necessarily bad, it's just like very slightly better than Souls, but in a bunch of different ways that make it hard to find an imbalance in your favor. I don't know if RadicalX is listening. Maybe he wants to comment further. Alright. Essen says that he sent me a replay he wants me to watch. Alright, we'll see if we get time to do it on stream. I had scheduled tonight to watch a bunch of replays. But again, we see RadicalX playing, we gotta drop what we're doing and show his game. Then we'll see what we get to tonight. If not tonight, then another night. I'm gonna laugh if Essen, when he timestamps this, is like 2 hours, PvP 1v1, 10 minutes, Essen versus whoever he played against. 2 more hours, PvP 1 versus 1. We see SunWu with the Lost Dancer. This is good against the small units. And Ghost Spears are human. Spirit Hunters are not human, they're Wood Elves. But the Ghost Spears are pretty strong. SunWu kind of desperately wanting to pick out the Ghost Spears with the Frostbite. Doesn't quite get it. We see a freeze trade here. Meanwhile, RadicalX is going for a suck. He got the suck. That puts RadicalX at a 25 power lead. A bit of a tempo disadvantage from here. But it's going to depend how the trading works. RadicalX has 2 deep ones. Both are making their getaway. Meanwhile, RadicalX with the Werebeast to be annoying at the bottom. And SunWu with the Stormsinger to push an attack here. We see a freeze to hopefully trade a little better. RadicalX with Spirit Hunters, and SunWu is not continuing to hammer the well. He has switched targets to attack the Spirit Hunters. Werebeasts are doing damage. Squad of Dark Elves now getting into the fight. We see an Oink in response to the freeze, which is a better trade for the Oink. Motivate for Storm Singers. Looks like it's not gonna come out. Oh, it does. The Nasty was a brilliant call, but ultimately unneeded. And SunWu's now tempo disadvantage, I guess. Yeah, SunWu now tempo disadvantage. He's got a very slight power disadvantage because of the well. We see that SunWu has also spent more power. So RadicalX overall traded better. Dancer being good as always. The heal looks like it just missed the Werebeast. And I think this should live with Kobold Trick, although power might be too low. Okay. Pure Nature, these are beasts or primordials. Ooh, and it looks like the Glacier Shell is on cooldown. RadicalX possibly delaying killing the well, and SunWu GG's. See RadicalX against Triggz again. RadicalX's deck, Surely Nature, sounds suspicious. That's true, Bird. I see you in the chat. Yeah, come online. Try ride it yourself. Do it, Bird. Do it. Ooh, Bird with the Shadow. Interesting, interesting. Is that a counter pick for Radical, or is it just because he's feeling Shadow? Bird with Shadow, true to his deck. RadicalX with Shadow. I didn't catch what RadicalX changed his deck to. Alright, Armatora watching streams at work. Alright, well, enjoy. Tell your work buddies to subscribe. Footsies, footsies, footsies. RadicalX spawn one more squad of Forsaken. Bird not mirroring. No, there he goes. He mirrors the spawn now. That could be a juicy nasty. That's a huge nasty and a huge nasty back, and RadicalX wins with one shot. Bird pulling back this squad. Dread Charger to possibly clean up, and running away. Bird trying to get the pick on that really small squad from Ratty. Possibly getting it, possibly not. Looks like not. Is Bird curving around for a nasty, or is he going for a second attack on Ratty's base? Looks like he's committing for an attack on Ratty's base, which is going to get Ratty to try and trade back. Let's see how the base trade goes. This is an example of a tempo play. Radical has more units on the field, but these units are lower health. So let's see what Bird tries to get done. We're definitely going to see some cross-map action. Looks like possibly Bird's coming back to defend with the Dread Charger. There's the Motivate from Radical. And Frenzy. Frenzy back from Bird. Nasty from Dread Charger. It has so little health, but it looks like the knockback is going to be worth it. And Bird is saving as well. And getting out with a sizable army, although a couple of these units are going to die. And Ratty goes with the +1. This is a very Pure Shadow +1. So I'm guessing that Ratty decides to mirror the Pure Shadow. Bird with a little bit of map control, although on the counterpart he's got 10 less permanent power. Possibly a little bit more tempo because of the trade that happened earlier. Although a couple of the squads died to Frenzy anyway, so I don't know if he actually got some tempo. Radical pulling away to try and get a second attack, possibly. Bird here with ineffective nasty. Not going for the nasty. Frenzying these units here. Responds with 2 frenzies back from Ratty, which means that these are even. The frenzy here, but that's a distraction for the attack coming down here, is Bird nastying. He is nastying. It may not be effective. These guys are still living. They're going to get a lot of motivated frenzied damage on that well. I think that well's going down. Maybe not. No, I think it is. Life Weaving can do it. And there it goes. So, Ratty traded tempo for the well kick. Let's see if Bird can trade the tempo back for another well kick. We see Wrath Blades. I'm guessing Radical... I was going to say with Wrath Blades, I'd guess he's going Am I? But actually, based on the way he's playing along Tier 1, I would actually guess that he's still... I would guess that's a Pure Shadow move. Frenzy with Bird. It's not going to be enough to kick the well. Now Radical defends. Bird has no map control. Radical is +2. And Bird is continuing to try and get back in the game. He's going Tier 2, possibly to try a Harvester. This well has almost paid off. This well has not paid off. Plus, Radical has some units bound. So it is possible that Bird goes Tier 2, gets a Harvester out before Ratty gets a Harvester out, and wins based on that. I think it is Am I? Yeah. Am I can stop Harvester pretty easily. Radical kills the units he thinks he doesn't need anymore. But I think Bird is still playing footsies, waiting for power to Harvester and push something. Dread Charger coming in. Rooted. That's rooted right in the center, so if he spawns a Harvester, it won't be able to get out in time. Bird is not playing yet, so he's going to have to Harvester at his base. He decides not, he's taking a well, and Radical responds by keeping the +1. And Bird is responding by pushing +1 also, looks like. So they're even on wells, but Raddy's got definitely a tempo advantage, definitely a long-term power advantage. And he's trying to push in to attack Bird. I think he'll succeed, but let's see how it goes, and possibly the game ends at this offensive. On the other hand, if Bird manages a miracle save, possibly with something crazy like a Knight of Chaos Warp, then we could see the game continue. I think that Shadow is out. Well, yeah. I don't know. Actually, I don't have enough experience in this matchup. I feel like Ami should be very comfortable in this matchup, because even when Harvesters come out, Aura of Corruption and Knight of Chaos, or for Ami, Tranquility and Aura of Corruption and Roots, I think, are enough to defend Harvester. And even in Tier 3, I think that Ami tends to run a light Tier 3, such that Voidstorm is not oppressive. Oh, there's a tech card from Bird, stopping some healing with the Befallen's Curse. That's going to prevent these units from healing. But ultimately, Raddy has such a tempo advantage. He spread his units out, but I think this well is still dropping. And the well goes down. Bird is back to 2 wells versus 3. I think at this point it's GGable, but let's see if Bird continues to try. I always admire people for continuing to try. Bird pushes the +1. He's trying to increase his power levels. And Radical goes for Tier 3. Bird does not have a spot to Tier 3. It does invite a Harvester, but as we discussed, Ami has a fairly easy time defending Harvester. Bird getting some picks on the Nightcrawler there. Meanwhile, Shadow Insect coming in, scooping up corpses. Knight of Chaos against Ashbone Pyro with the nasty it defends. RadicalX now coming in with Cultist Masters. And Raddy is going on the offensive rather than killing these units. He is not afraid of Bird grabbing Tier 3 because he knows that the tempo loss from grabbing Tier 3 is going to easily be enough to overwhelm him. Shadow Insect defending there. Cultist Master there, Cultist Master here. Cultist Master there didn't actually use the ability yet. And we warped away. That's Bird's warp. That means the other one's not going to be able to go away. Bird didn't quite have power to play the Knight of Chaos. The Shadow Insect ability is still working. And Triggz calls it GG. Or not Triggz, Bird calls it GG. I've been calling Bird Triggz the whole game. I am so tired. Maybe that's why I sounded so happy, because I'm like, long day, put on the fake smile. Good job on Armaturas, by the way, getting that Emperor rank before me. Hey, Hawkeye. Happy to be streaming. But I'm laying my excuses out now in case Triggz tries to get an Iron Man on me. I'm in no condition to Iron Man today. I could do some 2v2 later, but probably no 1v1s for me tonight. And it'll probably be a shorter stream. But I love this game. I love you guys as a community. It's such a great community. And happy to be showing up while I've got the time to do so. Okay, Radical with something Froster 1. Bird with, looks like his same deck. It's interesting. I wonder why Bird is not running Fire, since that is what I consider to be his main deck. Bird, tell us, why no Fire? Yes, Triggz, promote it in Discord. The stream I did yesterday, that coaching stream, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think I mean, you guys can correct me if you disagree, but I feel like that kind of impromptu lecture I gave at the beginning, that first 30 minutes, I feel like that was a good place to get a lot of PvP knowledge in. So I think you should definitely share that VOD around when people are interested in a good starting place to get into PvP. Or if you think I made some mistakes, let me know. Make some documentation, and maybe I'll re-record that as a separate video. Bird going for map control against Ratty. Ratty has not taken a well. He is so far stacking Master Archers. So Mad Villainy, you should definitely watch this and see what Radical does when Bird tries everything against him. There's the face tower. And let's see how Radical is able to break out, because Radical always wins, and to win he's got to break out, so I'm sure he's going to break out. Although it does look tough given that Bird is building defensive face towers. The only thing that make it work worse is if these were like life stealers. He pop a life stealer here, life stealer there. That'd be a lot of power bound in one spot, but then that'd be really hard, borderline impossible for Reddy to break out. Face tower sitting in a more aggressive position. Reddy not wanting to commit to attacking it yet, which means it's going to get out of its vulnerable status. And Radical moving his army over here to the center to try and make something happen here. He's not taken a well, which means he's not really vulnerable to the counterattack. Ice Guardian still in the back line, not lost any shield yet. Radical going for an attack. He's been waiting for some magic value, I guess. Are we seeing any Glyph of Frost? Not yet. Trade Charger streaming in. Bird tried some kind of dodge there. We've got Home Slow, we've got Motivate. Let's see how this turns out. Focus Fire. My money right now is on RadicalX. And looks like Bird Trade Chargers are dying like flies. There he goes, dying again, getting the Frostbite, and that is huge. Phase Tower was out of the fight. So, Bird's got some tempo. He goes instantly tier 2, which is going to make it hard for Radical because he's got a lot of power bound tier 1. It's going to make it hard for him to go tier 2. And it looks like Bird is moving the Phase Tower straight into aggressive plays. Radical is going to be attempting to rush the tier 1. That nasty... I don't know if it was worth it. If Bird has a purple Light of Chaos, he gets the cheese on Radical, I think. But we saw he was looking for blue. I don't think he's getting the cheese. He might be able to hold this. then the question is, okay, Phase Tower comes back for the defense. So Radical has gotten out of the sticky situation. Does he have to go instantly tier 2? Or is Radical going to try and take a ballsy +1 and hold? Warp. I think that's a good trade. It's an okay trade. Trade 70 power of tier 2 for 100 power of tier 1. That's a fine trade. And Radical decides that he's going to go tier 2. So there we go. Yeah, Bird's doing fine. He kind of lost the tier 1, but he lost it in a way that didn't actually have consequences. He kind of forced Radical to lose it back. And end of the game score is equal. Radical has slightly better map control in the center, but no problems. Interesting freeze. I guess it's 80 power for the 60 Nightcrawler, plus probably scooping up the Dark Elves. That's probably worth it. We see White Rangers to go against Dark Elf Assassins. Radical not switching targets, still continuing to hit the frozen units. Bird bringing his Dark Elves into the back line to try and get a pick off of these. He doesn't, but he goes for the Master Archers and he's getting those squads. Stormsinger to attack. By the way, I didn't mention, but this is pure frost. Radical Bird has the Phase Tower in the back, so he could take a +1. But Radical is trading very decently, getting this off. As Shadow, he doesn't have good cliffing options, so Radical is not afraid to take wells in the center here, and we see a well from both players. This matchup is kind of weird in that it depends on the tier 3. In principle, Shadow is defending high power because of Void Storm, but if you get to ultra high power, then Void Storm hits cooldown, and Radical could spend like 400 power of Tremors in between Void Storms that is possibly being dangerous. So this is certainly not a straightforward matchup where Shadow outscales. I think Shadow probably outscales, but it's complicated and it comes down to a lot of micro. Some would think this is a bad matchup for pure Shadow. I am not so convinced. Again, I think it depends on the deck choices. I think it is a fairly good matchup for pure Shadow. Not the best, you know, it depends, right? It makes a difference if you're running Night Guard, for example. Night Guard's a very strong counter to War Eagle. It matters how the tier 3 is working. For example, if you've got my favorite tier 3 card, which I'm not going to say, but you can maybe figure it out based on some of the 2v2 replays I play. If Bird is playing a tier 3 like that, then he is outscaling everybody. Current score is that Bird is... No, both players at +3 wells apiece. Bird playing footsies. The Phase Tower is getting very slight chip damage from the White Rangers. A little bit of footsies with War Eagle. And looks like Radical wants to take a well position over here to have more control over potential tier 3 position. Which once again would give Radical a very nice tier 3 control of the map. Bird going for a trade on these. We've got the Befallen's Curse is a pretty nice counter pick, assuming it has enough damage, which it might not. Looks like it doesn't. So these units are not going to die. Possibly Bird can clean this all up with a Corpse Explosion. We'll see how it goes. Looks like he's going for a nasty with the Nightcrawler. Phase Tower hitting out the War Eagle. Those units did die to the Befallen's Curse. And Bird decides not to nasty because he thinks the Parasite Swarm, or the Phase Tower will kill it. Phase Tower putting in good work. Running away with the Phase Tower, not that far, and it still dies to the shot from, or not really the shot, but the attack from the Mountain Rowdy to win through after the animation. This Nightcrawler is still carrying the Befallen's Curse, so he could infect these units again, but it looks like it ran out. And I do agree that White Rangers, as SunWu points out, White Rangers are one of the tech cards in this matchup that make it a lot harder for pure Shadow, because that chip damage is good against Dark Elves, and the chip damage really nullifies how much Shadow Mage damage can do. Shadow Mage is good against War Eagle, but War Eagle is also good against Shadow Mage. RadicalX misses the shield a little bit. Bird not focusing the War Eagle. There was a warp over here, and Bird actually trading pretty well. He's taking out the Stormsinger, but still losing his own mage, and things are back to more or less equal. The Radical has more power on the field right now. Scream successfully dodged from Bird. Warp in to try and get some picks with the mages. Looks like Radical did not have power to shield, and that was definitely a 70 power worth it. He still lost the mage, so I guess we go from definitely to maybe. We see that both players pushing power again. RadicalX does have control over this tier 3 position. That's going to be very vital. And I think it's also going to depend if Radical is running Lightblade and or Lyrish Knight. Based on Radical liking to play weird things, I'm guessing like somehow he has Lyrish Knight but not Lightblade. And we know that Radical, but yeah, part of the thing about playing Radical is you have no idea what he's playing. You have to gamble. Because there are a couple ways to play this. If you play the Harvester and he's got Lyrish Knight, and or let's say Lyrish Knight plus Lightblade, then the Harvester's really going nowhere. If he just has one of those, then it could depend. On the other hand, Radical could have possibly cut both of them to play a bigger tier 3. I think historically Radical likes to play smaller tier 3, larger tier 2. So either this is a fun deck where he's not doing that, or he is doing that, and Bird has an opportunity to win in a tier 3 stage. If Bird goes tier 3 and Radical stays tier 2, this typically is a very good matchup because Shadow has excellent anti-air counters in the form of Ashbone Pyro and Shadow Insect. There's the Fallen's Curse to prevent a reheal on the War Eagle, getting some chip damage in with the Dark Elves, and I think the War Eagle is still going to die to the Fallen's Curse. It does. So Bird is holding. It is a lot going to come down to the tier 3 of how this goes, I think. And again, RadicalX is going to have a major advantage when it comes to tier 3 because he can tier 3 potentially right in front of Bird's face. Knight of Chaos, but the War Eagle is still able to get a scream out. Bird probably trying to get his Knight of Chaos out there in the fight. So even if it dies, at least we'll have some corpses. He could get a quick corpse explosion to kill. Plus there's the Warp, there's the Fallen's Curse. Bird is doing a fantastic job of holding. He looks like his units are still dying to the trade. Kicking the War Eagle again. War Eagle does have a lot of charges, so it's not something you can easily run out of charges the way you can run Skyfire Drake out of charges. And it's still anyone's guess as to how the scaling is going to come out. We've got an R of Corruption from Bird. This could be a huge mistake. Okay, he's getting good trades, but my worry is that RadicalX now goes tier 3 and Bird won't be able to stop it. On the other hand, RadicalX is pushing an attack down here, while Bird's units are trapped on the other side of the Aura, so RadicalX with a small tempo push here. Looks like it's not enough. Radical going for tier 3 on this position, rather than right in front of Bird. I feel like this is in the Aura, so this is actually safe, but RadicalX apparently disagrees. And there comes tier 3. I guess we'll have to ask after the match why Radical didn't tier 3 in the Aura. And Bird is trying to go tier 3 over here. He does get it. So it's a tier 3 from both sides. Voidstorm is going to even things up. It's going to come down to individual deck choices between the two players now. Here comes Tremor number 1. Bird going to fight right here. There's an Aura to defend the Tremor. And the map layout is pretty good here. He could, for example, warp this Tremor into the Aura. Although the Tremor is trying to hide behind the Aura. Was that a Voidstorm? That was a Voidstorm. Which means the Aura was not that useful. And Radical spawns 2 more Tremors. Dodging the Cold Snap. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Kicking Tremor 1. Tremor 2 saved with the Timeless 1. Shadow Insect, there we go. Very nice counter against Tremors, especially if you have space. If you're playing from behind on tempo, then it's hard, but you also have Woodstorm as a nice emergency card. We've got Life Weaving here. Shadow Insect to focus out Timeless 1. There he goes. There's a heal, but the shot still goes through. More Cultist Masters from Bird. Both players have been remarkably even through the whole match. Nightcrawlers chasing out the Silverwind Lancers who retreat. This is really a nail biter. But the Shadow Insect is coming in with full corpses, and this card is a little bit of a troll from RadicalX. There we go. That was a weird way that Bird did that, but RadicalX saved the base with an Am I Ritual, which means that this probably is RadicalX's kind of troll deck where he's going for high power levels. More Cultist Masters coming in. The close wall bases are nice for Bird. Ashbone Pyro doing solid damage, but is gonna die to a Frostbite. No Frostbite, but the Life Weaving ran out. Still died. Good trades from the Nightcrawler. Pulling this Nightcrawler back to, I don't know, make more damage for corpses so you can grab another Shadow Insect perhaps. Chasing those guys around. We've also got an attack going on over here that Radical tried, and an attack here that Radical stopped. We've got defense everywhere. Now Bird's got sizable tempo, I'd say. Got Shadow Inks' corpsed up. Timeless One's coming out, doing good. Are we going to see a warp with these guys? No, it looks like he's running around normally. Another Timeless One coming out. I'm curious what kind of finisher Bird has in the deck, because he will need some kind of finisher after the Void Storm to end things. He doesn't necessarily need them, but that's going to make things a lot easier. Got a Tremor attacking the base up here. Bird defends this position very well. Cultist is sitting there doing nothing. Tremors at the base. Corpse Explosion was fine, but only killed units. Radical did not play the Corpse Explosion, or he didn't play Am I Ritual. Bird could potentially play Shadow Insect to scoop up these corpses. Looks like he doesn't. He is defended here. So far, defense everywhere, very good. Silverwind Lancers, possibly countered by Cultist Masters. More Silverwind Lancers, this time countered by Shadow Insect and Ashbone, except they get frozen. Silverwind are at the base. Cultist Masters here, trading against Silverwind Lancers. Fairly well, although not quite. The Sky Elf Sage is getting into action. Cultist Masters healing up. Looks like they've healed up a little bit. He can get them back into the action. We've got an Hour of Corruption and a Night of Chaos to keep them there. Tremor, Pound, knocks away the Night of Chaos. And Bird goes for an attack. He may have to play an emergency Void Storm. There's the emergency Void Storm. I feel like he probably could have saved that a little longer with another warp and continued the attack, but Bird didn't feel confident in that. Freeze against Cultist Master. Dodge the freeze. That's a very nice dodge. That's gonna basically even trade the freeze for the Nether Warp, plus killing the Tremor. Very nice trade for Bird. Coming back to heal up with his Cultist Masters. Trying to kill that Ice Barrier. Probably will see another Mage to grab this, or a Shadow Insect to grab the corpses. This Cultist Master defends. Bird doing a fantastic job looking all the way around the map and getting threats before they materialize. Potentially Shadow Insect going for a Great Nasty, although it takes a little damage, not quite anymore. Cultist Master here around. I feel like Bird is out trading Radical. Both Nasty? No, he's going for Life Weaving. which is nothing because of the freeze. I feel like Nasty would have been the right option there. Sky Elf Sage coming in for the attack. We got an Ashbone. And Radical is playing very good. I'm not giving Radical credit because we all expect Radical to play like a god. But Radical is doing very good about attacking Bird in a lot of different spots and trying to make sure that Bird is playing units so that Void Storm is not coming out. And that's true. We're close to a timeout. If Bird gets a timeout, he wins. We see the AMI ritual from Bird, or double corpse explosion from Bird, causing RadicalX to do an AMI ritual. And Bird looks like he spent a little more power. We've got Ashbone coming out here. Shadow Insect getting the pick. The freeze was not worth it, I guess. Looks like the idea was to save the Sky Elf Sage, which didn't quite happen. Got another Shadow Insect coming in, going for a Nasty. No Nasty. So I'm not really sure what the warp was. Maybe he meant to warp his own Shadow Insect. We got Motivate on the Shadow Insect, but there's only one. These Cultist Masters are sadly not healing up. Small mistake from Bird. This is a high pressure situation. And RadicalX is grinding Bird's aggression to a halt. Aura of Corruption. Nice defense. We're at a stage where Void Storm would be quite powerful for Bird. However, once he does that, then there's a bunch of spam from RadicalX. The Shadow Insect is still in the aura, killing the War Eagle. Civilian Lancers killing the Ashbone. Ashbone defending Tremor here, possibly a warp to save it. Maybe not needed. Looks like it's not needed. Close, but not needed. Good judgment from Bird. Shadow Insect still making good trades. RadicalX takes a +1 well, because RadicalX is aiming for the timeout. We see a Corpse Explosion, not quite taking it. Bird has not had great luck with the Corpse Explosion so far. Part of that is because the Shadow Insect is anti-synergizing by sucking up some of those corpses. So his explosion was really only the value of the Shadow Insect. Bird is playing so well, he sadly just doesn't quite have the experience with the Shadow Insect Corpse Explosion combos that he needs to have to close this game out. We see a Harvester, which is a bad sign. It means that Bird is not running Sataniel or Mo or some other finisher in Tier 3. So he's trying to use the Harvester as an exile finisher. Meanwhile, Radical with Sky Elf Sages in the back line, trying to defend this. Bird actually showing up with 2 Harvesters though. So that's nice. We see the AMI Ritual. That's going to defend both of them. Bird moving away with those units. This Harvester is probably dying. Bird's still hammering on the well, but there's nothing there. Hammering on this well too. I think he's just waiting for the AMI Ritual to end. We had a Motivate on this one. However, the end result is not that important, because if the Harvester dies, then we have a Void Storm to clear everything. Bird doing his best not to need the Void Storm, and Bird really defending admirably here. RadicalX with an Ice Barrier, such that Void Storm will... there's the Void Storm, and he's got ground presence to continue the attack. Bird can, of course, warp these guys right into the aura and continue the counter. He warps them not into the aura, but to the corner. RadicalX with a freeze. This might be Bird's undoing. RadicalX with War Eagles. That means the Tremors are running low. Nice angles with Sky Elf Sage. And the orb is falling. Bird immediately plays a Shadow Insect to try and reclaim his Tier 3. He's got some Cultist Masters. Maybe he's trying to get something going on here. He still has a lot of ability to stall between Nido Chaos and Cultist and Nether Warp. If he can get the Shadow Insect in there, he could Nether Warp them all the way. There you go, he does. If he gets his Tier 3 back, he's out of danger. And Bird has still spent more power than RadicalX has. Although, as the Void Storms come out, that'll change a little bit. And we could see a situation, there's the Void Storm, and we could see a situation where RadicalX is coming back to win on score. RadicalX's score is almost at the same level of Bird's, and this well is going down, even with another warp. I think it's not being saved. Well, or the orb is down, and RadicalX is closing this. RadicalX still not quite having the score of Bird. Bird retaking his tier 3, pushing everything he can into keeping the game going, because Bird is trying to win on timeout. I don't think the timeout will happen. I think if RadicalX realizes he can't close this, he'll be able to score push, because the scores are close enough that score pushing from Radical will take it. Bird is about to lose all of his wells. Radical is about to lose most of his wells, but not quite all of them. But Bird's still holding on. Bird's still having tier 3. He has one more Void Storm left before he's out of charges. Radical with the home soil, and Bird not having the power. This was so close. And it looks like Radical is holding this in the end. See, SunWu, I disagree that this matchup was in Frost's favor. I think it's a lot easier to play for Frost, but I think if Shadow plays well, then Shadow is fine with deck choices. So obviously, Bird struggled a little bit with the closer. His Corpse Explosion combo was not quite where it needed to be, but it was close. Bird still has the higher score with less than 5 minutes left in the game. So we could see a situation where if Bird is able to hold, he doesn't have access to Void Storm anymore, and he's losing this orb. So we could see a situation where Bird is hanging on to win on score. Again, I don't think that'll happen, because I think Radical in the last minute will be able to score push way more effectively than Bird because of Radical's higher power limits. But we shall see. Bird is losing almost everything. Radical's got complete map control. I think Radical is cleaning up in the last 4 minutes we have remaining. And Bird GG's. Beautiful game. I'm so glad we caught that on stream. I love seeing games like this, and Bird really surprised me with a lot of his tricks with Nether Warp and with some of the combos he pulled off. I did not realize that Bird had a pocket Pure Shadow that was so polished. Again, we saw a couple mistakes with Corpse Explosions that could have worked if he was running, for example, Embalmer Shrine, or if he ran in with the unit that wasn't Shadow Insect, but a couple times with the Shadow Insect, it absorbed most of the corpses and took away a lot of power from the Corpse Explosion that would be possible from the full corpses there. But yeah, very nice game, very fun to watch. So glad we got to see that showcase. And once again, credit for Ratty, he does not lose. So for anyone wanting to see how Frost Tier 1 should be played on Semi, I generally consider Semi to be the worst map there, but it worked. Oh, we need to ask. Yeah, exactly. I based on the way Bird was playing, I thought Bird would not be able to do anything about a close well tier 3. So I'm curious why Ratty took that. Okay, just didn't want to give a close base for Cultist Master. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Bird showing his deck to the stream. We've got the Phase Tower. Looks like this is exactly my deck. Okay, Phase Tower and Befallen's Curse instead of a tier 3 finisher. Alright, RadicalX versus Bird, trying again. Alan thinks Frost is OP? Maybe. No, I don't think it's OP. I'm curious what Radical had, because he had the White Rangers, he had the Ammi Ritual. Did he cut maybe Frost Mage, maybe Lightblade, maybe something else? Okay, RadicalX is showing us. Looks like he's missing Frost Mage, so he agrees that that's not an essential card. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in tier 3 with Ammi Ritual instead of shield building. Okay, okay. He's got the white. Oh, he's got no Sky Elf Templar. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the lack of. So it's a pretty typical deck to what I'd normally see or recommend, except he's got White Rangers instead of Sky Elf Templar. Alan asks, what is the most broken faction for PvP? I really don't think any faction is broken. I would have said Pure Fire. Okay, interesting. Yeah, most broken faction PvP. I don't think there is one. I think Pure Fire was overtuned against nature because Burning Spears were just too good. Currently, I feel, yeah, I think things are pretty well balanced. Souls is good, but it has its weaknesses. Fire is good, but it has its weaknesses. Twilight is solid, but has probably less weaknesses right now. I think Twilight's in a good spot that it with the Twilight Archers, a lot of its angles for abuse got closed up. So I've been very happy with Twilight, and but it's definitely not OP. It's just solid. I think almost all the decks have their weaknesses closed up. Pure Nature got a lot of weaknesses closed up. Bandits got a lot of weaknesses closed up. It still has some because Minefield got the nerf. I think Fire Frost is probably the faction in most need of a tune-up. It still has some great strengths and really good into particular matchups, but it's some of its weaknesses had not been shored up. So yeah, definitely no broken faction. But I think the strongest faction is probably Stonekin still. But all the broken things have been closed pretty much. Uzi Bird and RadicalX playing Fire. Thugs from both sides with 3 Scavengers, 3 Thugs. 3 Scavengers, 1 Thug, and 1 Sunstrider. And yeah, when Killbuster is in the top 10, which I think he is right now, there's usually like one player from every color. I think it's not the case anymore because Armor Torus is Fire Nature, so we lost our Bandit representative. But if you say that, um, you know, if Port's Fire and if you call Bird Shadow, since he was running Shadow maybe in his Smush Try Hard, you know, some players have multiple decks, so it's hard to say. But if you're cheating a little bit and say what decks do people actually run in rank and you allow them to do a couple, I would say that the top 10 is running all 10 decks in some form during ranked. They're seriously running all 10 decks in ranked. That feels accurate to say now that Killbuster's back in the ranking. And Street Kings might climb the rankings soon. We've seen Street Kings come back, and Street Kings historically has been a Fire Frost player. I think Fire Frost is good. It just hasn't had the tune-up that a lot of other decks have had, so it's fallen behind a little bit. It's still good at the things that it has always been good at, but its abusable weaknesses have not been fixed in a way that other decks' abusable weaknesses have been fixed. For example, Twilight got Twilight Archers, which help against Ghost Spears. Nature got some Deep One buffs and some Parasite that helps against flying units and against medium units. Yeah. Fire got the Burning Spears, which help against large units. So overall, I really like the way the PvP balance has been going. That decks usually have strengths and weaknesses, but the strengths and weaknesses are a lot smaller than they used to be. Meanwhile, we've been having this massive tier 1 fight, and it looks like it's coming out pretty even. Not analyzing too closely. Possibly a lead for Bird here, actually. But yeah, Bird, both players with 3 Archers, 1 Thugs, 1 Sunstrider. Actually, Bird loses his Scavenger, but plays a second Thugs. Righty loses his Scavenger, plays a second Thugs. Ratty picking off Bird's Archer, which is not quite getting there, but with this Archer shooting 1 arrow at a time, it is going to get Ratty's unit enough. It dies. Bird cutting out these Thugs. RadicalX running these Thugs away. And trading has still stayed remarkably even. Alright, Alan, have a good evening. And I hope you enjoy the stream when you wake up. Don't watch it at an irresponsible place like work. Or maybe you do. I don't know what you do for work. If you're in university, don't watch this while you're in class. That I can say you shouldn't do. Okay, and Bird looks like he is chasing Ratty out. And this is why we're showing... this is just such great Tier 1 gameplay we're seeing. We're seeing fighting happening on both sides of the map. And we're seeing that RadicalX, when he doesn't have the advantage, he runs away. There's no shame in running away. If you don't have the unit advantage, don't fight. And in the contrary, if you have the unit advantage, push the fight. Make it happen. Bird has been keeping 1 squad of Sunstriders out here for the map control. The problem is that as this fight goes longer, that bound power is going to put the tempo a bit on the side. Looks like Bird comes back to get these guys in the fight. RadicalX doesn't quite get this squad of Sunstriders out. This little guy is getting killed. Bird with the tempo kill here. And Bird is probably in a position to go +1 and heal up his units. He elects not to do that. He wants to pull his units back in the fight. He wants to have a big Tier 1 fight. Both players are certainly playing Pure Fire by the way that this matchup is looking out. Both players want a high Void level into the Tier 3. I think it's also important to note, neither player has played an Eruption so far, I think. And as I said that the Eruption comes out, I don't know if I, you know, I've got some predictive powers. That Eruption is fine. And I think that Bird is in a good position in the center here. Although the thugs are going to be having to run away. Scavenger to stop the runaway. And actually, yeah, Bird is fine again. And Bird doing a great job running away. If you don't have the unit advantage, run away. Scavenger to kite the thugs, and then probably getting more shots with Sunstriders. Bird miscalculates, doesn't quite see what's going on, and that's Radical's ticket back into winning the center fight. And Radical feels confident. He takes the +1. Bird does have a bunch of units on the field, but they're low health units, so he's going to have to heal up before he pushes the attack. So I don't want to say that Bird's at a disadvantage. By the way, you can see the solid eruption, good for RadicalX. You can see RadicalX has spent about 200 power more than Bird, which means that if Bird goes tier 2, possibly RadicalX can't follow. On the other hand, the void is very high, so if he goes tier 2, we could see a Scorched Earth and Thunder attack, which is what I bet on based on the fact that Radical is playing this as pure fire. I'm guessing he's got Scorched Earth in the deck. There comes the Scorched Earth. Not quite in time to instantly erupt it, but if he gets one squad of Sunstriders to hit, we might see Bird erupt. RadicalX erupts, and Bird cancels the orb. Now Bird is down a huge chunk of permanent power. Not a huge chunk, but he spent the 150 for the orb. He got 75 back, so he's kind of out 75. Once he rebuilds the orb, it only costs 100, so only be out 25 once he rebuilds the orb. But until then, it's effectively like he's got 75 or so power bound in his orb that doesn't exist. He got 75 power bound in his unborn orb. So as long as Radical can keep this stack going, the tempo advantage is going to swing in his direction. And if he can't if Bird can't get the tier 2 going back again, Radical is going to be able to steamroll him here with that bound power advantage. Again, calling it bound power is a little bit weird, but I think that mathematically that's how it works out to be. RadicalX pulling out his thugs just in time. A lot of thug plays from both players. Scavenger for the crippling bite. Again, for whoever's asking about crippling bite, this is so valuable to do right here that you can kite these units really effectively. Nomad would not be able to do that. Nomad would also lose to the thugs because Nomad is not a small counter, whereas Scavenger is. RadicalX pulling away to avoid interruption, and Bird in a nice pick position to get this out. RadicalX spawns the Dazed thugs, but Bird should be able to focus them no problem. But RadicalX with a second squad of Dazed thugs, virtually ensuring one gets out. Oh, but the eruption picks off one. The unit focus picks out the other. Bird is back in this, and he's probably safe to go tier 2. Bird with a fantastic micro, and now that he's going tier 2 again, the power, we can say the power got unbound. Bird now has tempo. Potentially the power levels are such that Bird could play a Scorched Earth, and then he's getting the first Fire Dancer, which is probably a kick on Raddy's well. Question is, does Bird run Scorched Earth? Because I know he likes to play Global Warming, and we'll see. Maybe he's got the Scorched Earth. Maybe he's waiting for the last second to play it. He is waiting for the last second to play it. There's the Rallying Banner. Raddy has no eruption. Yes, he does. There's the eruption. Raddy also waiting for the last second to play the eruption. Bird should split his unit so there's no eruption. There it comes. Now we get Fire Dancer, we get Enforcer, and that's a dead well. Now the question is, will Bird kick the well back on the counterattack? RadicalX with some nice trades cleaning up the counterattack. Looks like if he micros this very well, he might be able to get a charge on this Fire Dancer, but Bird gets the charge back, and Bird now saves both of his units. The Fire Dancer is not that useful in defense. but potentially he can get it going around the corner and force an Enforcer to alleviate Righty's attack a little bit. Bird still got the Rallying Banner, gets a nice charge on the Fire Dancer from RadicalX. That feels like a game-winning moment to me. Maybe not, we'll see, but that feels like a critical moment that allows Bird to hold the counterattack when he might otherwise not have been able to. Fire Dancer pinging the well to alleviate the attack a little bit. Gladiatrix is above 300 power, so it still gets lava fielded to death, but it doesn't get erupted. There's a lava field. Bird decided to lava field instead of eruption, which looks like the right call. Meanwhile, Fire Dancer pinging the well. Bird does not erupt the Skyfire Drake, so it gets out of dodge. He's chasing it. Is he going to follow the erupt? Is the Enforcer going to pick out the Gladiatrix? Enforcer hits the Gladiatrix, but Bird pulls away in time. So Righty saves the Skyfire Drake. It will get erupted if Bird has the power. Looks like Radical is gambling that Bird doesn't have the power, or that Bird wants to trade his Gladiatrix, and that's solid because that's the same power as a eruption, but that lets Bird unbind his Gladiatrix power instead of playing the eruption and then still keeping his Gladiatrix bound. Bird heals up. He's maintaining the +1. This might be a win for Bird. RadicalX is not giving up so easily, of course, though. RadicalX never gives up, and for all the newer players who give up very quickly, watch Radical play, and maybe we'll see Radical bring his way back into the game. Radical is very, very good at making comebacks, not giving up, and considering what his win condition is going to be, manipulating the game to allow that win condition to possibly manifest. If Bird doesn't make a mistake, he wins this 100%. But Radical is playing this in such a way to try and make Bird make a mistake, and in such a way that if Bird makes a mistake, Radical can get back in the game. Radical pushes a well also. This is interesting. This is, I think, good strategy from RadicalX. Well, of course it's good strategy from RadicalX. It's RadicalX. But the reason why this is good strategy from RadicalX is that RadicalX is down in Void Power, but as the power level increases for both players, the discrepancy is less, right? If both players are playing with a total power pool of 700 versus 800, well, or let's say it's 1,000 versus 1,100, right? That's a 10% difference. But if it's 2,000 versus 2,100, that's a 5% difference. So the relative difference decreases as the relative power goes up. So RadicalX is trying to be in a situation where the power level goes up. His advantage is never going to decrease, but the discrepancy can be reduced to a point that microplay can allow counterplay again. Bird is not erupting the Skyfire Drake because it looks like, oh, there he goes, the eruption. Looks like he didn't erupt because he didn't have power. And Bird, I thought, might try to continue hammering on the well, but it looks like Bird has calculated that he won't be able to successfully do that. So he has pulled back his Fire Dancer. Bird is still +1. RadicalX interrupts the charge. That is a huge... calling it a mistake is a little tough, but certainly a huge swing because of the value. The Fire Dancer actually did get value out of that. RadicalX Bird continuing to hit this well, getting a little bit of a tempo advantage, and Bird still holding the +1. I think Bird strategically should be trying to kick Radical's wells instead of going +1. Skyfire coming out. Rallying Banner is getting blasted by the Fire Dancer. We're in a position where Lava Field could come out, but I don't think RadicalX has the power. Gladiatrix getting charged out by the Enforcers. But of course Bird charging the Enforcer back. Lava Field would be juicy, but power levels are fairly low. I don't know if Ratty has the power. I think we're in a situation where a well focus from Bird is probably taking it. Like I said, Bird's still going for trades. That feels a little bit of a missed opportunity. Gladiatrix got a huge across the map snipe. Once again, keeping RadicalX in the game. And let's remind you that RadicalX is even on wells. They've been even on wells for a while, and they're on 5 wells each, +3 apiece, which is keeping the power level high and reducing RadicalX's economy disadvantage. RadicalX goes for the +1. Actually, Bird does too, so they're both pushing power wells again. Yeah, I'm not sure if At this point, I think the power levels are high enough that Bird is going to have some struggles pushing +1s. So this could really go either way. Okay, Bird going +1 again. I think, again, Radical is going to have trouble kicking that just because power levels are so high at this point that you drop a Rallying Banner, it gets immediately lava fielded. And I agree with the Triggz. It's going to come down to orb focus. It's going to come down to who gets tier 3. Does that tier 3 get Scorched Earth? Does the how's the tier 3 timing work out? This is gonna be tight. This is across the map. Fantastic gameplay. I love seeing this high level gameplay. So glad we tuned in and we're doing this instead of what I had previously scheduled. Games like this remind you why you love BattleForge so much. Skyfire Drake coming in, Radical pulling away. Gladiatrix killing Bird. Radical very good with the Gladiatrix snipes. And you can see microbit by microbit. As the microload increases, as the full map fight increases, Radical is making 1% better decisions than Bird, 1% better, and he's overcoming the disadvantage he got earlier, even though that was a pretty huge disadvantage. But Bird still has the permanent power eruption. RadicalX is not got this yet. Bird's still trying to get a tier 3 position. If he's got the tempo, now might be the time that Bird gets his tier 3. He's got an Enforcer sitting here. Fire Dancer forcing a Enforcer out there. The Enforcer's charge, or Ratty's Enforcer will win. Enforcer versus Gladiatrix, I think, is killing the Gladiatrix. And now Bird goes tier 3. He can pull out the Skyfire Drake. Is Ratty going tier 3, or is Ratty going on the offensive? Looks like Ratty doesn't have power to tier 3. He's going to try and do something. Bird spawns an Enforcer to deal with that threat before it snowballs. We have a Scorched Earth. We got an Eruption from Radical. Radical is going to try and push the tier 2. Push the tier 3 with his tier 2. I don't see this getting up. Eruption kills the Skyfire Drake. Radical pushes it to make it there. Lava Field could stimmy the Fire Dancers. He's going for a Wildfire instead. Wildfire works. Now a Lava Field would be very nice. Radical very nicely maneuvers this out of the way. And he's going really hard on this. There's the Lava Field. It was pretty late. And it's possible. There's the... This is interruption range. Does Ratty have the power? Does Juggernaut come out? Bird has no power. Radical doesn't have the power. Juggernaut didn't come out. Radical having to defend this base. But the situation is that Bird's tier 3, Radical got the kick. So in terms of permanent power, they're even. Bird going straight back to tier 3. Radical's not going to have the tempo to push this. He might be able to try to attack another spot. We've got the Skyfire Drake coming out in defense. Power levels are so high, Bird does not care about preserving his power to play Juggernaut because he knows he's going to have that power right back when the Juggernaut comes out. He is interested in surviving this onslaught from Radical. Gladiatrix coming for the Drake. It's going to hit. Nope, it stops. Small error on RadicalX's part where pathing got messed up. He still got the hit. This well is coming down, but tier 3 is up. We see the Juggernaut. Radical is not going to have any luck in killing this Juggernaut, which means that... Oh, and Bird got the kick here. It does not matter that Bird's orb is down. Unless Radical gets a tier 3 himself, this Juggernaut is going to be able to base trade everything. These Enforcers also, Radical did not have the tempo to kick because he's trying to kick down the tier 3. Bird keeping that fired. The Giant Slayer is fine. There we go, kicking the tier 2. Giant Slayer could get in the fight, although it's not that good against Enforcers. Although Ratty doesn't have Enforcers anymore. He is tier 1. Rebuilding the tier 3. And RadicalX surrenders. Very nice gameplay. Such a great game. That was awesome to see live. I mean, the other games were awesome to see live too. That shadow match that Bird had with Radical, that is great. Bird is really establishing himself as one of the top players of the game, for sure. Fantastic game. Bird, you did beat RadicalX live on stream? Sure, let's give him a bounty. What should we give him? I have an extra promo Fire Dancer. You want that? That's true. No, Triggz, you won with nature. Nobody cares about you. Get out of here with your nature begging. All right. Bird wants a warlock. We'll give him a warlock. We'll give him both warlocks. Yeah, I feel like there was that one spot where Bird had the opportunity to well focus, and he might have been able to kick it. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was and Radical. My goodness, to be able to make that game close. Such great gameplay. And Bird, thank you for showing off. Now every time I'm bragging about you, people know what I'm talking about. Yeah, honestly, between the Pure Shadow game against Frost and this one, these might be the two favorite games I've seen all year. Spencer says great match. I agree. It was such a great match. All right, it looks like both those players are calming down their nerves. Time for me to get a quick drink of water. I'll be right back. All right, looks like we've got SunWu up to the gauntlet now. We now have enough footage to make Righty look bad on the internet. We do. I feel like today we have just increased RadicalX's win-loss by 50%. We're using RadicalX with the Void Storm picture and the word sunken. I don't know what that means. I would think Sunken Temple, but Voidstorm is kind of indisputable. Unless he's trolling us with the wasted deck slot to throw that Sunken Temple in there. RadicalX is starting. I didn't see what deck he locked in. So we'll see if it's still the Pure Shadow one. Nope, it is Fire versus SunWu's Dread Charger. Perhaps we'll see a Fire Nature or Fire Frost. I'd love this as a Fire Frost. What's the fun matchup? Fun matchup. Bandits versus Souls? Or maybe it's fun matchup for SunWu, which means it's Fire Frost versus Souls or Fire Nature versus Souls. Maybe. I do want to see how RadicalX approaches the Fire Dancers. SunWu has allegedly been whooping on Armatores with those Lost Dancers. Or has he? Someone was saying they found the Lost Dancers really hard to deal with. SunWu and I tend to go about 50-50. SunWu going for a split attack, not a split attack, backs off. RadicalX reaching around. RadicalX very strategically going for a meta game decision where he's just trying to have multiple map spot fighting because he knows that he is so good at that multitasking that he can outplay others. And there we see he got a couple picks on Forsaken. It didn't get the Forsaken, but he got a couple shots off and did some damage. SunWu taking a defensive position around his spot down here. Now RadicalX is going to have both ends ready to press down on SunWu. SunWu stretching his bounds a little bit. If units are bound in Sunstriders, that is kind of good for SunWu because it means there's no Sunder coming out. We see Frenzy, we see a Motivate. RadicalX is picking up this one. So very good trade from RadicalX. Ooh, the Nasty I think was pretty good, although SunWu could get erupted in counter. This squad is above eruption threshold. Meanwhile, RadicalX comes in with this squad here. If he's clever about it, he could get a Nasty from the Forsaken to counter these Sunstriders. Looks like RadicalX pinned him well. We got the motivated, two motivated coming out. But RadicalX has enough Sunstriders that he's focusing them. With the Thugs, these Thugs die, but the second Thugs are spawning. And RadicalX with a commanding lead. SunWu frenzying his units one at a time, but they're getting picked off with the Sunstriders. And Reddy takes +1. I think SunWu is not going to be able to challenge that, so SunWu is going to have to +1 himself, and then hope he can defend the counterattack. Bird thinks that I need to have fun. I'm having so much fun watching the game. Especially if I tried to play RadicalX with a headache and with the stream lag, it would just be over so fast. Okay, we had a nasty surprise that didn't accomplish much, although it's giving SunWu some positional advantage. SunWu is trying to take that position and go for a well focus. Was a little bit lazy. He's getting erupted. He's motivating. And I think that Radical is still going to be able to defend this. And he does. That well takes a dangerous level of damage, but Ratty defends. SunWu possibly going for a second nasty. Pulls back. So it's just kidding. RadicalX, by the way, yeah, they're even on wells. RadicalX heals that back up. SunWu going for another attack here. This counterattack is going to be devastating if SunWu doesn't escape to tier 2, or possibly more likely go for a fast base trade. There are a lot of wells spread out. Shadow's good at this kind of situation. This nasty could be huge. It is. We've got Thugs to attack here. If SunWu Forsaken spams, looks like he doesn't quite do it. He rearranges, he refocuses the target. Nasty here, taking it. Dread Charger could come back to defend, and I think that SunWu has alleviated a lot of Ratty's tempo. Ratty still has some tempo, but SunWu's in the safe area, unless Raddy double erupts. Looks like he motivates something because he's too afraid of double erupt. He's even going for the stomp to reduce the damage, and it survives. It is in double erupt range. Radical decides to go tier 2 instead of that, and SunWu is behind on tempo, can't follow tier 2 immediately. I don't know if he's trying to repair the well, or if he just doesn't have any power to do anything. There we go, there's the tier 2. And I think that's smart, going tier 2 before repairing the well, because you can always repair the well with Cobalt Trick if you need to. And SunWu is bringing the tier 2 back. You can see that RadicalX has spent a lot less power than SunWu. In fact, even with the 2 burrowers, RadicalX still spent 100 power less than SunWu. So this tempo is going to be pretty insurmountable for SunWu to overcome. There's the freeze. I don't think it's going to do much more than borrow time, but he does need to borrow time. So Skyfire Drake doing good. Forsaken, there's a very nice oink. And I think SunWu's position crumbles. There's an Aura. Aura is not huge, but it does buy more time. That was a Desperation Nasty, and SunWu GG's out of Rage. That's understandable, although he had not suffered a permanent disadvantage. There's always a chance that Radical runs into a Aura of Corruption the next attack, and he's even. I mean, it's Radical, so it probably won't happen, but that chance still exists. There was no permanent game-ending disadvantage on SunWu's behalf. RadicalX versus Bird again. This time Bird doing the Lost Souls. I'm curious what was Radical's deck that has the Burrowers in it. Because I have cut Burrowers out of my Fire Nature deck. I'm curious if he runs them instead of Vile Blood or if he's cut something else entirely. Okay. Ooh, it's Ami. Everyone. Whoever wants to see Ami, we're going to see RadicalX play his Ami. Interesting, he plays the Wrathblades over Skeleton Warriors. Typically, I'd have thought the Skeleton Warriors are better than the Wrathblades, but maybe RadicalX, I don't know if he's listening or if he wants to chime in the chat after this game. We'll ask. Bird back to his Shadow deck. I didn't catch the note if it was back to his pure Shadow deck. No, he's playing a Souls deck. That's right. And Ami is very, very good into Souls. I believe Radical claims that it is Souls' worst matchup. Not because it's particularly overwhelming, I think, but more of it's just that they have a lot of the same tools, but Souls Ami has them just a little bit better than Souls does. On the other hand, that was before the Dancer change. Dancer might make this matchup a lot more even in Tier 2. Both players with footsies. RadicalX with a lot of Forsaken in the center. Bird deciding to pull out. Just give RadicalX the map control back. And fight around his base, I guess. This is a dangerous position to go against Shadow because the potential for Mass Frenzy is so strong. RadicalX clumping all of his units together. That's going to make the focus fire more efficient, that he can hit the Dread. Did these guys frenzy? Okay, no, it's just a weird light angle. Dread Charger won't be able to kill anything. Couple picks on that. Is Bird going to be able to get the Dread Charger? Okay, that wasn't nasty. Bird not focusing for Ratty is nasty. Ratty with the Motivate. Bird does not get nasty, but he's still engaging these army on foot. There's his own motivate. Bird could focus fire better, going for the low health units, but he's not. There he gets one. He gets another. And it looks like Radical's focus fire was just a little bit better. Although I thought Bird's nasty was better, Raddy's focus fire was better. And the end result is Raddy coming away with a couple extra squads. These squads could be dangerous. RadicalX streaming to the center, probably to grab a well. Bird is moving his Dread Charger like he wants to rush the well, or maybe he wants to go tier 2. Bird looks like he's going for tier 2. Bird acting like he's got tier 2, but not taking it. RadicalX not taking the +1. Looks like Bird is threatening tier 2, threatening +1 with tier 2. And Radical goes tier 2 himself. Bird takes the, we can see Frenzy. Nasty from Bird probably. There's the nasty. It does defend it. Radical got 50 power extra out of Bird, which is going to give him a little more tempo going to tier 2, which is probably all he wants. On the other hand, that means that Bird's got tier 1 units he can help defend. Not that useful against nature because of Hurricane, but let's see. And I think that Radical also, knowing that it's Souls, based on the matchup, based on the deck, I think Radical wants to have a low power situation because Amite is good at that. Never mind, Radical takes the first well. Maybe he wants Bird to take a well so that the current power is lower, and Radical thinks he can get an attack. We have Dark Elves, which would be countered by Dark Elves. Dark Elves would be very well countered by Dancer, but it looks like Bird's not playing the Dancer, or at least he's being shy with whether he has the answer or not right now. Bird is stacking up Dark Elves, or Radical is stacking up Dark Elves. Bird can't counter Dark Elves with Dark Elves because Bird's Dark Elves get Hurricaned. There's a freeze. Very nice freeze. However, Bird's whole army can get Hurricaned, and if that happens, it's like trading a 50 power CC for an 80 power CC. Radical with a motivate. That is a devastating motivate. Nasty from Bird. There's the focus fire. It doesn't get nastied. Loses the Storm Singer for nothing. There's the Hurricane. Not a super good Hurricane, but Freeze catching some of these guys. Bird spamming Dark Elves versus Dark Elves, so Bird is clearly not running Dancer, which means that RadicalX is having some great support options, and Bird is not quite having the best counter to deal with this, because again, Dark Elf spam loses to Dark Elves. Right, like another Hurricane here blasts all this away, and if Bird counters with a freeze, then it's even, except that Radical's CC is cheaper. Bird trying for a good nasty. RadicalX spots him, gets a pick on it. Frenzy is still taking this. Bird is defending well. On the other hand, Radical's oink was just in time. RadicalX not going for well focus yet. He is still going for trades. He almost gets the Storm Singer out. And so far, Bird is holding. That's all Bird needs to do, because if it gets to higher power levels in tier 3, I think Souls has an advantage. It's not the best advantage, actually. I think the Nature Splash with Cultist Masters still tends to be very, very good against Souls. There's an oink. RadicalX still going for unit focus, not well focus. And this Nightcrawler is healing up. One Nightcrawler is frenzied. No, it's not. None of these 3 Nightcrawlers are frenzied. I thought he looked like he activated the frenzy. There he goes. There's the frenzy animation. Bird with the oink. Bird with more Nightcrawlers coming in. What got motivated was Bird's Dark Elves got motivated, but he only has one more squad, so it's not the greatest. RadicalX with the micro, using Frenzy on this guy, focusing down this Stormsinger. Bird's turn to play Frenzy. RadicalX microing his Nightcrawlers around rather than Frenzy themselves, and he does do it successfully. Another Nightcrawler coming in. I'm a little surprised that we don't see a multi-base attack from Radical. Radical still going for unit trades rather than well focus. He knows this deck way more than me, and I guess that's something I need to learn from, is that in this matchup the unit trades are everything. And there we go, now he's going for the well focus. Forces out a freeze. Oh, it catches the other Nightcrawler. RadicalX sniping these guys. Bird doing a great job of capturing the AMI Phantom. Bird hammering this Nightcrawler. And Radical still got a unit advantage, but Bird looks like he is holding good enough. Nice pick on the Stormsinger. RadicalX coming in with more Dark Elves again. Dark Elves are a good unit for they're a matchup advantageous unit for RadicalX, because if Bird's counter for Dark Elves are Dark Elves, and if Bird makes too many Dark Elves, they get hurricaned. So RadicalX still going for unit trades. He's got so many Dark Elves coming in. Bird might be able to counter it with an Aura plus Cold Snap. Possibly we're getting at those kind of power levels, but we're also getting at the kind of unit stacks where RadicalX can just melt things. He's still not going for a well focus. There's a Lost Reaver. Lost Reaver very good against Dark Elves. Gets stopped by the Tranquility. Are you seeing a Nasty from Bird? Or not? He's going for unit tramples instead of Nasty. That's probably fair because Reaver is still a small counter. The unit tramples are still useful. RadicalX coming out with an AMI Phantom. Still hitting the well. It is Bird's defense. Motivate on Dark Elves. This means the remaining Dark Elves are going to be very effective. Of course, there's a Cold Snap coming out from Bird. There's a Tranquility that didn't do anything. Oh, that wasn't Tranquility. He missed. RadicalX missed. He put Tranquility on his Dark Elves. We're seeing a rare mistake from Radical. On the other hand, not sure it matters. Radical's got a huge tempo lead. He's able to push hard on this wall. These Nightcrawlers are not frenzied. And the well is not quite dropping. There we see nice heal from Radical. He's not overinvesting in the frenzy. He knows that he can continue to make good trades. If he just trades Cold Snap for Oink, he wins. Radical slowly builds up his unit advantage. And he's taking this. Radical knows that this has been glaciered. So it's going down, and he already moves on to the next base to attack. Very nice play from Radical. As he looks like Radical does not want to continue the attack, but he runs up here. I feel that so hard, Bird. When you run a Nasty and you accidentally friend list, I've done that so many times. Yeah. So many times. Situation is now Radical plus... Nope, they're even. Bird took a fast 2 wells. Radical has a bit of a time bomb. He's been playing this kind of slow. Radical goes for another well. Because again, I think that if we get to a tier 3 situation, Bird's tier 3 is probably outscaling Radical's tier 3. Not by as much as you would expect, because some of the intricacy of this matchup mean that Root and Cultist Master are very good in this matchup. On the other hand, he's still probably talking about 2 or 3 tier 3 cards from RadicalX versus 5 from Bird. Maybe less than 5. Bird's running Phalanx instead of a tier 3 card, because he's also got the Reaver. I think Bird should be running Lost Dancer instead of Phalanx. We're going to ask him about it after. And we're going to ask Ratty about something. Oh, we're going to ask him about why Wrathblades. RadicalX with a strong multi-attack. Actually going in the orb. No, he's going 3 positions. He's going this position against the wells, this position against that well, and against the orb. The orb is the most dangerous, because if the orb goes down, then Bird is out of the game for good. And it's looking fairly likely that that's going to happen. This is an almost nasty range. Bird squad gets tranquility'd. Oh, he missed the hurricane. It looks like RadicalX missed the hurricane. He kicks the well, kicks the orb. Bird defends this with the glacier, but it is GG regardless. And Bird taps out. GG. Okay, Bird, please tell us why no Dancer? Why do you have Phalanx instead of Dancer? And Ratty, why Wrathblades? Bird, specifically the Dancer, I think you could have countered the Dark Elf spam with Dancer spam. Looks like Roddy is saying that the Wrathblades allow him to hold greedier +1s. Okay, that's fair. So I think what Ratty is saying is that he wants to force 1-for-1 well trades. So he kills your well, you kill his well, and the Wrathblades help you defend the counterattack a little bit better. Okay, I think that makes sense. I'm still not convinced that Wrathblades are better than Skeleton Warriors because the Skeleton Warrior, like, Nasty can zone out a lot of the counterattacks, but I trust RadicalX's explanation over my own logic, especially because he plays this matchup a lot more than me. They do delete thugs. Yes. If anyone's curious what that looks like. Thugs. Fight. And let's use the Wrathblade ability. Okay, Ratty says you can also play Skeleton Warriors, it's a matter of preference. Okay. Glad to know that I feel vindicated. Yep. So, Wrathblades versus Thugs. So good. Oh, is he not running Night Guard? Shard of Nature can completely outtrade everyone on low power levels. Yeah, that's true. You can defend with Phoenix, but you can't with Witch Claws. I think it's easier to keep witch calls alive in 1v1 than 2v2. It's just harder to fill up their gauge in 1v1 than 2v2. Oh, he doesn't? What? He doesn't run Aura? I can't wrap my mind around this. Harvester loses to Tranquility? Okay. 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 I want to try something. Haha. Oh, no, does it work? I'm confused. There's no... Okay, we play Buffon's Curse on ourselves. Then we play Tranquility as a CC. Okay, so Harvester can't attack, but the icon doesn't show up. That's weird. But then it can attack after. My foundational principles have been shaken, Triggz. I thought that Ami is the best faction to play with R of Corruption because you can root and oink into it and then kill everything. That's like such a good combo. Yeah, what about Stonekin Ball of Deaths? I guess in principle you can prevent the Stonekin Ball of Death from coming up by out trading, but that feels like such a hard proposition where if you make the smallest mistake, you're out. Whereas in regular MI, if you got the R of Corruption, you make a small mistake, you can always R of Corruption to regain your tempo. I don't know. Maybe. I do love watching Shadow Nature as a deck, though. Yeah, bro, if you're watching this in the future, A, put a comment so I know you watch this, and B, let me know what you think of RadicalX's crazy deck with no R of Corruption. Are you going to be inspired by that, or are you going to think he's insane? Or are you going to say, you know, it's only possible because RadicalX can micro like a god, and that's the only way you could defend this thing, or imagine going out aura? Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. All right, RadicalX needs to get some sleep. We want to try a couple 2v2s? Thank you, S4M. I'm glad you enjoy the commentary. Please be specific. Stroke my ego. What exactly about the commentary you enjoy? That looks like S4N is off. SunWu is in for some 2v2s. Triggz is the leader. Okay, fine, I'm a host. If we're only doing a couple, let's start on Halidar 2 and 2 because everyone likes this map. Okay, Bird immediately picks opposite me. So SunWu, alright, Triggz is on my team. Triggz, don't troll me too hard, please. Who's listening, by the way? Are all three of you listening? Maybe Triggz specifically wanted me to host so that he could be on my team and troll me, whereas if he was host, I would pick opposite his team. That's Triggs' big strategy. Come on, Triggs, what's your plan? Unless you pick something garbage and unadaptable, I'll adapt to you. Okay, he's playing my deck. Kind of my deck. A worse version of my deck, but he's playing it. Yeah, let's do... Oh, you're just playing that? Okay, we can do that. Who can I play? I've got a funny deck. Okay, that works. Alright, we got a full lobby. This time I'm trolling Triggz. I wonder how you like this. If you actually look at the stats page, I found it earlier. RadicalX, I can't see the loss counter, but I can see the win and total match ratio. I can see that. And do you know what? RadicalX has more wins than he has total matches. I'm pretty sure it's because matches under 2 minutes don't count. But, yeah. RadicalX's win rate is like 140% if you just take the number of wins divided by the number of matches. I'll put a link in the chat after this game. I'll look through my search history, find the link, and put it in the chat. Well, if it's missing matches from the first 1 to 2 years, I think it'd also be missing wins from the first 1 to 2 years. Maybe not, I don't know. But, oh, Triggz didn't go for the shot. I thought he'd get it. No Frostbite. Frostbite's way over here. I did not counter that right. And I overinvested in that defense. Yeah, I definitely didn't play this right. Maybe we got it. Okay, we got a well kick. Triggz should probably go tier 2. He's going tier 2. And we gotta spam Ice Guardians. Dodge the shot. Nice root from Triggz. Not quite enough. Pretty my range here. Okay, looks like our trolley stuff worked. Do I not have Glyph in this deck? I've got this massive tier 1 and no Glyph? Oh, okay, fine, he got it, he got it. Let's get my Light Blade over here. Okay, fine, fine. I have no Glyph. Right. I think I should trade Frost Mage for Glyph. Wait, I can do this. Take that. Oh, that was not Trigg's heal. Oh. Bad, I don't think I should have Irish Knights. Eh. Okay, I think I put Rage Claws back in the deck. I did not hit the unit I wanted it to hit. Okay, I was asking for that. I'm so glad I'm not playing 1v1. I'm so bad right now. This deck is also just so bad. Let's get out of here. Thank you for the heal, Triggz. Still a devastating, yeah, I'm really feeling the lack of glyph. Ah, not in time. The worst part is I don't know where anything in my deck is. Oh, I got erupted. Of course I did. Okay, but Triggz has got tier 3 coming out. Nice job from Triggz on that. A hurricane from Triggz. Oh, did it live? No, okay, he erupted. Okay, we got the termite hill up. Okay, the meme up worked. This deck's so bad. So bad. Oh, I'm leader. Alright. Maybe, Uro 2 and 2. See, I like trolling Triggz, because then Triggz has to try hard. It's fun. I mean, I get why he does it to me. No! No! What we got? What's the damage? What's the damage, Triggz? I need to know. Okay, it is Trolley Stonekin. Okay. Here's how we mitigate this. I'm gonna play the most toxic. He's got Glacier Shell. I'm gonna play the most toxic Shadow deck with tier 4. That way I'll take his tier 4 and we'll be fine. Assuming we don't die early game, which is a really big assumption, but let's try it. You put my favorite card in? Glacier Shell? Yes, I do appreciate the Glacier Shell is there. Alright, let's see if I trick them if they overcommit because they think there's no glacier. It is Shadow and Fire. Nice try-hard decks. +1 from everyone. SunWu coming in to attack me. Triggz going instantly tier 2. That's dangerous, but probably fine. I'm hoping we don't get locked out of the map for that. I'm gonna go +1. Okay, I am not quite holding. SunWu took the map position. And looks like Triggz is attacking, so I'll attack too. Hopefully we can catch them out in an overcommit. Okay, that was a great nasty from SunWu. Not quite. Whew. This ray of light garbage. Okay, let's fight SunWu again. He's going tier 2. How ballsy am I? I'm feeling pretty ballsy. Okay, that was a nasty. Okay, I think we are. I need to get my Embalmer Shrine up. That hasn't been active long enough. Okay, tier 3 coming up. Oh, Fire Dancer's out of range. That didn't work. Why does Triggz have freeze? Okay, we got it. We got it. No, we don't got it. There went my Void Storm. Okay. Any heal Triggz? Oh no. He got my orb? He got my orb. I don't have no power. Wasn't in time. We were close, we kind of threw. Alright. Reflex, I agree. This game does need to stay alive forever. Alright, I'm with Bird. Nice. Okay. I like it. I will play Souls, I guess. This is such a great game. By the way, welcome to the stream, Reflex and Matrix. I don't know if you guys are lurkers or if you're new listeners tuning in, new viewers tuning in. Oh, he's playing something different. He's playing this. Okay. I can still work with this. Actually, we got tempo with... Maybe I play this one? I'll play Souls. Easier execution. Maybe this one, actually. Yeah, I'll play this one. Well, Reflex, looks like you're new. Welcome to the stream. Have you been playing BattleForge a while and just happened to tune in this time, or did you not even know the game is back, and you caught this on your YouTubes and tuned in to see. By the way, guys, I need to get more subscribers, so I'm thinking about doing shorts. So if you have ideas for good shorts or something you want explained in like a bite-sized 1 to 3 minute short, let me know. And hopefully I'll try to pump out like a bunch of shorts. I'll probably make a bunch over the month and then like release them one a day next month would be my guess. But yeah, probably something like that. Okay, nice. Well, glad you're enjoying the content. Okay, Fire and Frost. Not a lot of combos, but I'm going to play Nyx. Power, Explained, Void, and Regular. Yeah, sure. I can do that. Well, glad you were there through thick and thin. Reflex. I'm going to Nasty right here. I kind of hit my... Yeah. Okay, didn't quite get what I want, but it's fine too. Bird got a nice eruption. He's going to get a nice pick on the scavengers. Looks like a failed eruption. I'm going to come heal up. Okay, we got sniped. That is okay. Actually, the tempo is pulling against us a little bit. Okay, nice eruption from Bird. I'm gonna try and get a Nasty in here, so he's pulling back. Just nice. And if Bird can defend, I don't know if he'll be able to defend. Okay. I'm thinking if I get a second squad of Witch Claws. These guys might be dying. I think they're dying. That was meh. Meh. Yeah, I think I played the Witch Claws too early and ended up just binding too much power. So I'm going to repeat my mistake by making another squad of Witch Claws. That eruption did not do a lot. Counter eruption did a lot better. Yeah, I'm not playing this very well. Actually, what I could do is I could do this. Oh, okay. Good eruption. Good last minute eruption. Okay, we're holding. We're holding. Bird with these super precise, very nice eruptions. Okay, they healed in time. Yeah, this didn't work. Did not work. Maybe he wants to double erupt. Could try double erupt nasty. Yeah, I don't think this is not happening. This is not happening. Okay. Tips on better micro hotkeys. Yeah, can definitely do something like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna well up a bunch. They've both got tier 2 coming out. It's fire nature, which probably means we're gonna have some opportunity to pressure when he's got tier 2. So maybe I try and pressure harder on tier 1. I still have some more charges left. This probably won't work. Probably too much of an overcommit, but I'm already in a pickle, so might as well commit a little harder. No, I didn't take tier 2. Can I get it? No? You got them all. Okay. Sad. Tier 3 is coming up. I don't like that. I don't like trying to play from behind so much map control. Oh, we got a kick on this well. Okay, we got it. Oh. Didn't even see that. Okay. Retake shadow. Okay. Not happening. Okay, let's go tier 3 here, I guess. Actually, let's try one more Witch Claw. We got a lot of corpses that just dropped. Okay, we got that. Witch Claws are keeping me in the game. Barely. Okay, okay. You know what? There's corpses. We can try this again. Okay, okay. Nice my ritual. Nice dodge from Bird. Was that a good nasty or what? Okay, alright. Now I've got tier 3 myself. Yep. Aura's still on cooldown, so I gotta wait a little bit. I had no ink. Bird down to tier 2. Okay, we're holding, we're holding, we're holding. Okay, we got it. Uh, I lost it. Oh, we didn't quite get it. That sucks. That sucks. That is a problem. That was close. I think I need more power balls. Okay, nice timing, nice timing. Okay, and there's a GG. Witch Claws overcommitted way too hard in the beginning, but it was a pretty good useful tempo tool to get back in. Not one last one. Come on, Triggz, one last one. One last one. You gotta give us a warning. Alright. Good night, Triggz. Bird with the bait, trying to get Triggz to stick around. Bird said he wanted to play Pure Nature, not he would play Pure Nature. There is a difference. Okay, he's actually playing Pure Nature. How about I play Fire Frost then? Like no, well, I want to play Frost Fire something. I could play this one. Bird, do you have Living Tower? You could add Living Tower into a root deck and that'd be funny. Good night, Reflex. I think we're going to do one more game here, and then end the stream we'll have to do the replays on another day. Is Bird playing a root deck? No Living Tower. There's Living Tower. Alright. Right. Let's do this. Alright, Fire and Frost versus Nature and Frost. Triggz play more fire units. I know it makes absolutely no sense to erupt this well cluster. Okay, they're going instantly tier 2. And it's Pure Frost from JD is what the instant tier 2 is. With a Fire Bomb. Okay, okay. Spicy. Mountain Rowdy is going to be pretty good at this particular situation. I guess it is going up. Okay, that got a lot. Not having this firebomb is good in this very particular situation where we're getting CC'd and we don't have burst to kill it. It's a very particular situation. But bird getting a nice suck. Okay. Okay. Let's back up. Back up. I think it's time for me to grab turret 2. Okay, we got an oink. Got the eruption out on living tower. Oh, it's already under attack. Okay. We're doing good. Tree 3 is up. Time for me to follow, I suppose. Go here. Yeah, let's tectonic shift that stranglehold. I'm gonna heal. Oh, I got a takeover. Here's something nobody ever expects. Nasty surprise Stone Warrior. Trying to hit this stupid Giant Slayer. Alright, GG. Alright, well, thank you all for joining me on stream. We had so many fantastic games. Please let me know which one is your favorite. I know definitely I know two of my favorites. I can't figure out, I think I have an idea of which of the two is my favorite, but I don't want to influence your opinion, so let me know which was your favorite game of the night. We had a blast. Thank you all for joining me in-game or in the stream or when you wake up watching at work, apparently, Armators. Or in the future sometime if you're viewing this catalog and catching up. I appreciate the watches, I appreciate the subscribes, I appreciate all the kind words you all are saying. Thank you for watching. We do have a replay catalog we need to get through, so hopefully tomorrow. But, you know, if RadicalX is playing some amazing games tomorrow, we might just have to tune in again and catch the replays another time. We'll see how it goes, but I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.